Hi guys, so we're back for another monthly book wrap up, and this month, August, I managed to read 6 books I think. 3 of them I don't actually have to hand because 2 of them was a library's and 1 my cousin had lent me, so they're all back to their rightful places now. So I do have the other 3 actually in physical format to show you. So let's just crack in. The first book I managed to finish last month was J.R.R. Tolkien's The Children of Húrin. Now, if you don't know what this is, it's a novel that takes place before the actual Lord of the Rings series. It's when the first Dark Lord, Morgoth, was around, you know, spreading evil and everything, and Sauron was actually his, I guess, apprentice in a way. He worked below this Dark Lord. And it's basically how the children of Húrin are cursed because their father, Húrin, had and respected him. His punishment is to watch all the darkness and death on his land, and he won't die, he can't eat, he can't drink, he's just on this chair watching it all. But the biggest thing is that his children have been cursed. I won't go into any more detail about that because I think it's really great if you just dig right into it. I heard that the Silmarillion, I can never say the word, was supposed to be the darkest story, but if that's true, I'm sure this must be like the second darkest one because there was pretty much no hope in it, and it was really depressing. I'm not saying that that's bad, it wasn't bad at all, it just shocked me at how dark and sad it was, really. I really liked the characters, but surprisingly, I felt like some of the parts were skipped over, like Tolkien wanted you to hurry up and get to the next part, so I feel like some things weren't as explained in depth as I would have liked them to be. I did feel like the connection with the character, I felt torn, and I felt their pain at being the plaything of Morgoth, you know. The illustrations that accompany this novel are by Alan Lee, and they complement the story absolutely beautifully. I don't want to show you anything that goes, gives away too much, but look, this illustration, look how beautiful it is. I really do need to find some big prints of these because they will look gorgeous just hanging around the house and stuff, but the illustrations really do complement the writing perfectly, and all in all I think this is an excellent book. I gave it 4 out of 5. I think specifically 4.5 maybe on Goodreads. Definitely pick it up and give it a go, it's an excellent novel. The next book is one of the library books I was talking about, so I don't have it to hand. It is the second in a series called The Last Werewolf, and the novel itself is called Tallulah Rising, and it's by Glenn Duncan. Now, I don't know if you've seen my last video where I kind of briefly spoke about this series / books that I plan to finish, or that I'll try to finish, and also the first novel was in my last book wrap up, but basically I was struggling with that series, but I kind of wanted to continue just because I was curious, I wanted to see how it ended. So yeah, the second book was a great improvement to the first one, The Last Werewolf. I think I got more enjoyment out of the last half, which I think was the same with the first book as well for some reason, and I think I enjoyed this more because there was a specific plot to it. A child was kidnapped, they needed to get to that child, they needed to do it before a certain deadline, and, you know, I felt it had a steady pace, and I knew kind of roughly what it was going to achieve to, so I felt like I was going somewhere with the story, you know, not just mulling over reading it and thinking, oh god, when will it end? You know, it actually had some kind of structure that I understood, and the writing wasn't as highly sexualized and grotesque as the first book. It might again be because of the change in protagonists. That might be the reason why, and I think that might have been why I enjoyed it a bit better. I really enjoyed scenes with a vampire called Caleb. I won't say too much about that storyline, but I don't know, things with him I liked more. It got me interested into the story, and I realised I was reading it and remembering what I just read. Other times I was kind of reading it and then I'll be like, oh, what did I just read, and kind of read back again, you know, that kind of thing. And I was more excited at the end of this novel to get on to the last book, the end of the trilogy. So I gave that a 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and yeah, I think it was definitely a 1-up from the last book. Another book I don't have with me because it was my cousin's is Conspiracy Theories by Jamie King. I was actually shocked that they didn't they didn't mention the lost city of Atlantis because I thought that might be a big conspiracy theory or something to do with that. But anyway, basically what this is about is just a collection of theories with the government, like conspirating against the government and sort of things that don't really feel like the full truth has been given out. I'm not usually one for, you know, chasing conspiracies and their theories and stuff, but I thought it'd be interesting because as I was flicking through it, I did find some things that I thought kind of caught my eye, and I was like, I'd be interested in reading that. So then my cousin loaned it to me and I just read it all. Some of them are a bit ridiculous, like aliens are ruling us as the royal family. Some of them seem ridiculous, but my mum came up with a funny conclusion. It's a theory in itself that the silly stories, the silly theories within this book is kind of throwing you off the scent of the more serious ones, so you don't think too hard about it because you see all the ridiculous theories that are in there, and it's like kind of taking you off the bait sort of thing, which I thought was funny. It's like a conspiracy in itself. A lot of the content, I will say, is highly political, and so some of them I did find myself just skimming because I was bored. I thought it'd have a bit more, you know, conspiracies to, like I said, the lost city of Atlantis. I thought something could be in there. I don't know, something a bit more, not fantasy, but yeah, I guess fantasy. But I did give it 2 stars. It was interesting to read, fun to read, but probably wouldn't read something like that again just because it's not really what I'm into. But that's definitely not to say that you might be into it. The last book that I don't actually have on me is the last in the series of The Last Werewolf by Glenn Duncan, and it is By Blood We Live. I was a bit traumatised at the end of this novel because it felt like a big obvious cliffhanger, and I'm hoping to God that a 4th book does not come out. I'm not too sure because this book was released in 2014, I'm pretty sure, but yeah, I'm hoping to God that they don't have a 4th novel out because that will make me want to have to read it because I just need to know the end. Even though I didn't really enjoy the trilogy as a whole, I did like it a bit more as I got through. But yeah, I just feel like that means I'll be forced to read the 4th novel just to see how it ends. I need that closure. That's just the kind of person I am. So I can't really speak too much about this, like the plot and stuff, without spoiling the 2nd and 1st book in this series. So definitely watch my last book wrap up because that's got a bit more about what the story is actually about, because it talks about the 1st book, which is The Last Werewolf. But I can definitely share my thoughts briefly. Okay, so Duncan, obviously the author, he clearly has a profound, in-depth knowledge of things, but I just feel like he didn't really use his intelligence for the greater good of this book. I just feel like if he was referring to a lot of intelligent resources, I feel, in the story. I just feel like the way he made his characters speak was just not the best way. I really can't explain this any more than I am, but I don't know, I just kind of have to get that off my chest. I can see that he's intelligent, but I just feel like he's not showing it in the right way for his characters. That's all I can't, I'll be going in roundabouts and circles if I just carry on because I'll be saying the same thing. The only really good bits that I properly got into was when Quinn's diary was involved, Cloquet's shocking little episode, and the Varley story, or Valley, I'm not too sure how to pronounce it. But other than that, specifically the series as a whole, I give 2.5 stars, but I would say that the trilogy does get better. The first one's definitely the downfall of the whole thing. After that it does improve slightly. The 4th book I read was Paper Towns by John Green. I got this and the next book because I had watched The Fault in Our Stars and I just went on a John Green kind of binge and I finally got around to actually reading it. This is about 2 characters, Q and Margot, and basically Margot randomly knocks on Quinn's window and they go on a wild night of revenge. Revenging Margot's enemies, pretty much. But strangely enough, Quentin, turns up at school the next day, but Margot's not there. So it's kind of him getting his friends together, trying to piece together clues at what could have happened to her. I was a bit disappointed in the end, to be honest, because I just felt like in the end everything just led up to Margot and sort of just entertaining her need for attention, and that kind of thing really bloody bothers me, because I feel like, oh, it's such a great story, but no, the character is just an attention-seeking idiot, and, you know, it could have gone a different way. But I know with, like, contemporary novels, most of the time it is to do with a character that has some sort of issue, or they just crave attention because they're not getting it somewhere else. But, you know, I don't know, I feel like there was going to be more to it, but that's not saying I didn't love it. I gave it 4 stars out of 5. I thought it was excellent. It really did move me with some of the things that were said. I liked the way that, like, poetry was brought into it and stuff. I just felt like everything was connected after reading this, but sometimes with characters I do find that I dislike them when it's all to do with, like, attention. Q also aggravated me as well, because I felt like he, as a protagonist, should have been more likeable. I just felt like he was just following the trails of Margot because he was so in love with her, and he wanted to please her and everything, and it just bugged me. And I don't understand how his friends would help and go along with that as well. Like, why would you just be like, leave it, okay, leave it to the detectives? But yeah, I thought, I know this sounds really negative. If you read my, like, main review, I think I have some more positive things in there, but I did really enjoy it. It is a great book, and I think you should pick it up. And the last book, as of the 29th of August, I think there's still 2 days left of the month, so I might end up reading another book, is Looking for Alaska. I literally just finished this, so I do have kind of a rushed mix of thoughts that I can't categorise and put properly in, like, order. But this is about Miles Halter, who goes to a boarding school because he's so sick of his, like, mundane life of not really having any friends, and he wants to change it, and he wants to have a greater purpose. He moves to this boarding school that his father went to back in the day, you know, and, like, he gets into a good group of friends that are always pranking people and stuff. But shit goes wrong. Like, I had to stop halfway through this book when it got to the after section because I knew something bad was going to happen, and as soon as I got to that page I knew what that bad thing would be. But I really loved how it unravelled, and how I kind of got to look into Alaska, which is, like, the main girl, got to look into her mind a bit. Even though it was another case of I felt like she was craving attention and that kind of thing bugged me, I kind of pushed it aside a little bit, as much as I could, and tried my best to get on with it. And I did enjoy the book, I really did. Gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I think that the characters generally were really likeable, I liked them, and the story was actually pretty good. But I did find connections, I don't know if it was forced or not because I'd literally just read Paper Towns, but I did find connections between the 2 main characters in this, Miles and Alaska, and the 2 main characters in Paper Towns, Q and Margot. I found that they were kind of almost the same people, because it's like, say, the guy's chasing after the girl trying to find out why she did this, what happened, when did this happen, you know? It's just not believable almost, it's a bit too much. Also, I forgot to say, in Paper Towns, I loved how it went to, like, first person halfway through. It's kind of like, you're living in the now, you're doing this is what's happening, this is how I'm feeling. I thought that was a great touch to the book, by the way. But anyway, back to Looking for Alaska. I also found quite a lot of typos, which is nothing to do with the story. It's probably because I think this is, yeah, the debut, so, you know, you're going to have mistakes, but that kind of annoyed me a little bit. I don't know why it's so stupid. But other than that, the story, the characters, I did enjoy them. Just a little bit whingy at times. Great novel though, nonetheless. Really looking forward for you to read it. I don't know what I was going to say there, so I'll just say that. Anyway, like I said, I might end up reading another book during the last 2 days or something, so I'll just chuck that in my next book wrap up or something and let you know that I read that in August. I don't know. But that's all for my book wrap up, and I shall speak to you in the next video. Have a great day, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is for you right now, and I shall leave you with that. See you later.